For more than a decade, the BGK family has been a champion of dreams. It's the dreams of those who work for a better tomorrow that drive us to reach our greatest potential. We are here to support our kingdom partners, their families, their ministries, and our communities.
Are you looking for a marketing company that can capture your vision? Branding yourself or your business is no small task. That's why at Flaming Sword Productions, we offer unique visual concepts that are designed to meet all of your campaign needs. We provide a one-stop business solution to successfully brand your business, ministry, or organization just the way you envisioned it. Our designs range from banners, booklets, and book covers to e-promotions, logos, seals, and promotional t-shirts, and so much more. We are fast and affordable. Are you ready to let us create your unique brand identity? If so, contact us today at 312-863-0597 or email us at flamingswordwitty@gmail.com.
Hi there, welcome to the Team Taylor Show. We're one team with multiple shows. I'm your host, Bishop Ronald Taylor Jr., and I'm with my co-host, the lovely Pastor Chara Taylor. And we welcome you to our Awaken Love marriage portion. But first, we want to give a much needed thanks to BGK, our service provider, our production. They do everything, and they're a really great team to work with, and we want to thank God for them. And if you want to see more shows with them, you go on their website, BGK TV, and also they have a free app that you can use. So you can see other shows and just see what God is doing through this awesome production. Well, our topic for today, we're going to be talking about changing with the times in marriage. Now, that may seem kind of oblique, I guess, but changing with the times in marriage is a very needed topic that I don't think we really realize. Even this topic that we're talking about today, change with the times, came from just us having a conversation. I think we were just talking about sex, and we were talking about intimacy and things like that. And I believe Chara, she asked me to do something, and no, I was going to do something for her, and she was like, "Well, I don't like that no more." I'm like, "What do you mean? You used to like that? You know, that's what you used to like for me to do." And she's like, "I don't like that no more." And so that's how the conversation kind of just struck up, that sometimes changing with the times, whatever that means as far as sexual enhancement, intimacy, or just overall just within the construct of the marriage. And so we want to give a kind of hopefully a good conversation today that helps us to really recognize and realize that it's okay to change with the times, as long as we keep it in a perspective that is healthy within the marriage, healthy between you and your spouse, and also, of course, we want God to be the ultimate judge on everything that we do.
I think it's important for us to remember that change is inevitable. Mm-hmm. Life happens, and we absolutely have to move when life moves, whether it is because of sickness, age, or whatever it is. When life changes, we must change with it, or we are going to self-destruct, and we can cause major catastrophes in our marriage if we decide we're not going to change when life changes.
Absolutely. And so the first thing we want to just put out there, that anything we do, you'll hear us say this often, most of the times probably, everything starts with a mindset. I don't care how many books you read, how many conferences you go to, how many counseling sessions you have. If you don't have a mindset to change, if you don't want to change, it's not going to happen. It's going to start feeling like a job. You're going to feel obligated to, because you just want to keep peace in the home, so you'll do it. So there is no fulfillment between you and your spouse, because you just changing because they want you to change, or they see it necessary in them, and you just obliging them. You're doing them a favor, so to speak. So the first thing is to change. You have to have a mindset to change. What does that look like in change with the times? Well, look around you. You know, if you look at your body, do your body still look like when you was about 21, 22 years old? You know, or do you still eat the same foods, or do you parent the same as you when you was a first little baby? I remember when my wife, when we first had little Isaac, you know, she was a mother hen. She was a crouching tiger when it comes to Isaac.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. You know, and so for me, I was kicked out the bed. I felt miserable. I'm like, man, this dude just came in and took over my wife. And so I had to see the adjustment that I need to make, because I got mad. We got into arguments, all kind of stuff over that, because I thought he became first in her life and pushed me out. And so I had to adjust to that. First of all, that's my wife and my child, and so I'm not a stranger. It's just that I was feeling the loneliness of the position that I had before our son arrived. And so I had to adjust with the times. And so with that adjustment, you know, the sex was different. You know, we couldn't wake him up. We couldn't be loud. You know, I like her to be loud, and she's loud and whatever, and now she's going to be quiet. I'm like, I know you. I don't want to go there, but, you know, but things change. And so our bodies change.
Yeah.
You know, from a medical point of view. So that's really what we want to really hone in as far as that mindset, just getting prepared for that.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up about the whole dynamic of bringing in a new life and how that does change. And I'm glad that you were open about how that made you feel, because a lot of people, a lot of men feel that way and then don't open up and talk about, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And I'm glad you brought that up, because not only was he new into our life, I was a first-time mom. And so I didn't have a clue as to what I was supposed to be doing and how I was supposed to be doing these things. And not only was I a first-time mom, but we had a crier. Like, he screamed and cried for hours on end of something they call colic or whatever they were calling it. But, you know, there was a time we could not put him down, you know. So we really did have to make the adjustments. And I think once we stopped fighting the adjustments, then we were able to really connect emotionally and mentally and spiritually. It was, hey, this is our new, and we have to adjust to this new. And so, yeah, I had to learn, you know what, it is okay to put him down. It is okay for his lungs if he screams a little bit. You know, it is okay. But as a first-time mom, I had absolutely no clue. And it wasn't like I was being intentional on doing anything wrong. And so I think that, like, if a husband thinks that the wife is being intentional about what's happening, I think that, you know, that's really a conversation that they should have. Plus, we should just really know our spouses and understand, you know what, maybe try to see it from their angle. Let me go into her world, or let me get into his world and see what is happening. You know, for you, you've already been there. You already had a son. You already done that. You know, it was so totally new to me. And that when we don't adjust to the change, it opens up the door for jealousy, envy, anger, bitterness, and all of those things are not attributes of God or of a godly marriage. Those are definitely from the enemy. And I think if we begin to think about those things when we're talking about a mindset change, if we begin to think about the whole, you know what, that's from the enemy. I know my spouse. What can we do together to embrace our new? And so I think a lot of times that we don't adjust to change, and we don't adjust to what's happening, because a lot of couples fail to have a conversation. Absolutely. And so without conversation, then you're going to destruct.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so just to kind of piggyback on what you just said earlier about how the mindsets of individuals, as for us men, we need to really consider how we are thinking when it comes to them. Sometimes, as we all know that, you know, men are intellectuals. You know, women are intellectuals as well, but men are more in their head more than they are in their heart. Women are more in their heart more than they are in their head. So sometimes majority always rules. But we're saying that without understanding that as men, sometimes we can get more in our emotions when it comes to our selfishness, and then we stop thinking. And what we stop thinking about is, man, she don't love me. She's the enemy. She's trying to do this deliberately. All these thoughts that we know is not intelligently correct, but yet we believe them. And because we're so in our emotions, we don't see the reality. And then we start looking at our spouse as the enemy. We start looking at our spouse as, you're trying to deliberately withhold from me. You're trying to deliberately do all these different things. And so as you grow and communicate, we understand that these times it will change. It will be probable cause that you need to sit down and talk about these different things. And so for us men, we need to get back into the thinking side of, my wife really loves me. She's the same wife that I married, said yes to, however many years it was, to the same today. She has my back more than ever because she knows my flaws. She knows things that other people outside of us don't even know. And so you take all of those things into account before you decide to let your emotions take the wheel.
That's really good. That's really good.
And so I just think that we should just kind of just pause. The old saying, think before we speak. And that space of thinking is, my wife really loves me. I know her heart. And that's something that we all struggle with, because again, that's the negative side of when time changes. Mm-hmm. We see all these fake marriages, all these people, we see these fake celebrity marriages, all these different things that we're just depicting from reality when we take it from social media, Facebook, people putting up pictures about their great life, and then at home they're really fighting each other. Mm-hmm. And so the people that are viewing those pictures, they're the ones who are making this reality this false reality in their head. Then they go home and look at their wife or their husband, and then now all of a sudden the depreciation value of them has lowered.
That's unfortunate.
That's
very unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. I think we've got to step away from the screens.
Yeah.
And just really take a look at our very own lives. Now, this really does take an effect, and talking about change as it relates to sex. Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned in the opening how I was like, well, I don't like that anymore. Well, when we got married, I was 28. And now here 14 years later, my body has changed. Things at 28 are a lot different than things that in my 40s. And so it's like, hey, my body has shifted. Things have changed. I wasn't on certain medications at the age of 28, and now 14 years later I have to take certain medications to help out with certain things that are happening in my body. And so taking into consideration those things, it's, my body has developed more, my mind has developed more, things have changed, and that touch don't feel like it used to touch. I need a different touch. I need a touch over here. I didn't even realize this touch was there at 28, so now I've recognized a new place. So we have to change. And then after having a child, the body has changed even more, and I'm assuming as I continue to age, my body's going to change even more. I see that as women are getting older in age, they are dealing with things like menopause and have to go through hot flashes, and so I'm not looking forward to those things. I'm like, Lord Jesus, please let that bypass me. But I am realistic and understanding that things happen and things change in our bodies, and so it's important for couples to communicate about all aspects of life and marriage, and not just the bills, not just the kids, not just our vacation plans. And it's important to talk about sex. It's important to talk about what's now needed, what's no longer desired. It's important to do those things. And so one of my favorite sayings is, couples who talk about sex have greater sex. If you talk about it, then you can make it better. You can talk about things that you would now like to include or things you would like to exclude. And I think it's important that subject stays on the table.
Absolutely. And even us, you don't have to hold the chandelier with two hands. You can use one hand now, but it's just talking about it. It's just being more fortified in that area, so that you can be able to just associate yourself with the idea of things may change, things will change, and the reality is most likely they will. And so once you have constant communication, constant conversations about it, and here's the thing that I've learned with us, it is what you say, but it's also when you say it. All right? The best time to talk to men, it's not when they just come home from work, not when they just had a busy day, not when they just whatever. And it seems like, you ladies have a tendency to spring up things when we just can't even think about it. We can't whatever. And so the response you get is surprising to you, but we're saying, oh my God, can you just give me a minute? And so for us, ladies, here's a secret to us sometimes. The best time when you're fixing some meal, after sex, Not before sex, 'cause we ain't trying to hear that before before sex, but after sex, and just different points. You know your man. You know when he is at his moment of happiness, of joy, of whatever, and then that's when you can slide in those conversations that otherwise will lead into an argument.
I recommend that you put it on the calendar. So there are certain people, and I fall into this category of people who live by order, and like everything is written out for me, like a schedule. Am I flexible to understand that schedules, you have to deviate from them, or that things change and I might not be able to follow that exactly? Yes. But if it's on my calendar and if it's on the schedule, then I am preparing for it. So I recommend putting things on the calendar. This is a time that we're going to talk. Now, man, get your mind right and get your mind set, because it's on the calendar that we're going to sit and have a discussion. So do everything else you need to do, but from this time to this time, we're having a conversation. And so typically what is on a calendar is prepared for, and we all have proven this over and over again. If we have a meeting planned on our schedule, on our calendar, then we are setting up our mind for that meeting. If we have vacation time scheduled on our calendar, we're getting on people's nerves as we prepare for our vacation, telling them, oh, I'm going to do this. We can do the exact same thing when it comes to preparing and planning for things in our marriage, especially conversations. And I think if couples get to a place where you will schedule in some family time, but also schedule in some husband-wife communication and talk time, then we can come in with the mindset of this is what we're going to talk about, or we're getting ready to talk about, a certain conversation. And if you know what you want to talk about, then put that in on the calendar as well. Don't just put conversation where, we're going to talk, but put it in there in the little memo part what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the finances today. All right. From this time to this time, my mindset is we're going to be talking about money. From this time to this time, we're going to be talking about children. From this time to this time, let's talk about sex. This time. So put it on the schedule so that your mindset is prepared. And that also works with sex. I know some people think that you don't need to schedule sex. I think scheduling sex is not only appropriate, but it's very highly effective, because if it's on the calendar, then you can prepare your mind for it, versus a woman who has been tired all day, having to get in a bed where her mindset is saying bed, sleep. And then the husband, on the other hand, is thinking bed, sex. If it's on the calendar, then she can shift her mind and prepare for, okay, I know what we're getting ready to do at this point. So at least for the next couple of hours, okay, I need to shift my mind for the next few hours. But if it's not on there, and then she comes to bed, and then you're trying to get intimate, and you can feel her coldness. You can feel her body language, like, really, right now? Don't be mad at her because you have not given her ample enough time to switch. And I think it's helpful for men to understand that women are not light switches. We do not flip on and off like that. It just does not happen. Y'all can jump from one box to the next box and be ready. That doesn't happen for us. We have to prepare. And for women, our preparation starts from the time we wake up. So what happens is, whatever is happening throughout that day, if it's not on the schedule, and then there's some bumps and some bruises through the day, then please don't expect her to come to bed all extra excited and happy. She's like, we done been through a rough time. But if it's on the calendar, even though y'all had a rough time, she can still prepare her mind and get her mind back. That is moving with change. And I think we have to understand that putting things on the calendar is mature.
Right, and I definitely agree with that. So, I mean, as you just said, talking, two words is really just really springs out. Well, the first concept is, fellas, go get your calendar right now and just start put it on there. Just put it on there. That way, and then the excuses, just start writing, just fill up February and March and the rest of the year. Just fill it up. And then the second thing is, I heard the word like priority.
Yes.
Because if we can make everything outside our home priority, and then the home itself is just haphazard because sometimes we just take advantage of what's in the home, then it becomes an issue. And so we can kind of switch our understanding of my home is priority. my love life is priority. Me as a father, her as a husband, I mean, as a wife, as a mother, that's priority. And then everything that the world gets is an overflow of what's going on already within the house. And that works the same way with church. If you ain't praying at church, I mean, if you're not praying at home, you're not praising God at home, then how you're going to be effective at the church? And so everything you do in your first ministry, it oozes out onto everything outside of that. So that's very good. So, and it does work. It does work with the calendar things, you know, I try to put on the calendar and all of that. And for me, I'm more spontaneous. I'm more of, you know, the 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, and if she's willing to do it, she'll just let you handle your business. She'll toot it up or she'll roll over, whatever, and then you just do what you got to do. You know, that's cool for me sometimes, because if I oblige in her area, and I learned it to be very, very helpful to just put on the calendar. Now she can see it and be like, okay, he wants this. And then as for her, then I like to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, because that's when that body is going to another phase where it's just really, really just awesome. And all women, I think, have that, but we just got to tap into it. But at the same time, we have to join together as husband and wife to communicate these things. We can't just assume that this is going to take place or assume this is going to happen.
True. As you were speaking, I was reminded of a topic that we need to consider when we talk about change, and that is, in a lot of marriages, ours is an example of I go to bed early, mm-hmm. and you stay up very late. You're a night owl. I'm an early riser. I'm typically up when he's falling asleep at 3 and 4. My body is now waking up because I function the best earliest in the morning. And so we have to take that dynamic into consideration when we are talking about all things when it comes to the relationship and marriage, but especially when we're talking about the whole dynamic of coming together for physical connection. Because I did learn that me being an early riser, trying to go to him at 5 o'clock in the morning it's not fair, because his body has just went to sleep. So of course he's going to react and respond, because the body will act and respond. But what I also learned in that was I could hear him sigh when he felt me coming next to him for that. I could hear the like, dang, I just went to sleep. And so, you know, I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I had to realize, you know, we're going to have to compromise in this area. And the same is true, because my body typically shuts down 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Like, I'm no more good. Don't talk to me. My mind can't function. And so coming to me late hours, or expecting me to just be ready in a late hour, it's not going to happen. Like, you don't get the total fulfillment. And so we have to think about this in our marriages, because in most marriages, there typically is an early riser and a night owl. And so this is why scheduling is important as well, because if it's on the calendar, then I know, okay, Chara, take yourself a nap. And then get yourself back up. Okay, I'm not 20 anymore. The reality is my body is going to need some rest. So let me take my little nap. Go ahead. Let me have my nap. And then no, I'm going to wake up. She's going to get up. Yep. And then she's going to be prepared. And then we're going to do whatever it is we're going to do. Have a great time. And then he'll be falling asleep. And then it'll be my time to be awake and to have my study and prayer time. And it just kind of works out, since we have learned how to respect and honor the difference that has come as a change in our marriage. Because there was a time when I didn't have a problem staying up. Like when we were first married, you would get off at 3 a.m. and I would wait for you. And wait until, and I would. Well, my body is not doing that anymore. You know, we had to move with the changes, and especially
I had to get new hours.
He did have to get new hours. He did, but then we had to roll with those changes. And so it's important to recognize when something has changed, and then talk about how we're going to navigate through the change.
Absolutely. And so that's very, very good. Now, I know before we, kind of put this down to the end, but I do want to, I want you to speak on this, because you know more about this than me from a medicinal perspective. People that are, who have to take medicine, people who are, men too as well. But I don't really have, I don't have any kind of understanding with it, because I haven't went through it. So I just give you knowledge. I want you to kind of speak on that from a heartfelt and experimental perspective.
Well, it is difficult to have a life where you go from not having to take any medication to, okay, now my body is now dependent upon this, whether it is because of lifestyle habits or if it's genetics, it is very, very serious. And I think that something that happens in marriages, and some marriages, not all, but the person who is having to make the change sometimes has to make the change by themselves, when what is actually needed is for the other spouse to come into the change as well, and to learn about the new lifestyle and to learn what the spouse now has to endure. Because if not, then the spouse who has to actually make the change, or who has this new life, is going to feel alone and left out, and like they are traveling that road by themselves. So if you or your spouse has had to and change because of body issues or medicine or affliction or illness or infirmity or whatever has attacked or is happening to the body, I think what's important is to communicate that. And then for the other spouse, try to go into that world for a little bit. Find out what the diagnosis is, what that entails, what kind of side effects, what is coming along with it. One, so we can know how to pray. So you can know how to pray for your spouse, but also because you want to understand, okay, well, if this is causing some hormonal issues, or if this is, I may need to understand this is because of an illness, and this is not their personality. This is not their character. They're not just coming off as mean or disgruntled or attitudinal.
Absolutely.
They're being affected by whatever this infirmity is that is hitting their body.
Absolutely. And I can speak on the part about being that person on the other end that can really jump into that world, learning the medicine, learn when they take them, making sure that it's, the water's there, whatever's there to help out, and just really just open up. But my final thought is this: you guys are married. You love each other. You built a family. You built whatever you built together. And God has put you together. That no man put you other. God has given us a great gift of life, of love, and liberty with our spouse. That gives us so much endless abilities and contributions that we can provide for one another. So just allow God to speak to your heart. Allow each other to speak to each other, and come up with a plan. Come up with something that you can focus on, that you can take your marriage to another level and higher heights. Trust me, it is worth it.
It is.
Because at the end of the day, she knows you and he knows you. And that's where it stands. So, anything else, leave it up to God. But we just want to thank everybody for joining with us. I hope we said something that was helpful to your marriage and can take your marriage to another level. No matter how long you've been married, you can get better and it can be more solid. So we want to thank you. Don't forget to download the BGK app. Don't forget to go to our website, teamtaylorministries.com, and just see all the amazing things we can do and how you can be a part of that. So we just love each and every one of you guys for joining us and being with us, and we just love marriage so much.
We do.
And we want you guys to have the fulfillment that God has for you. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching the Team Taylor Show. For more information, you can reach us at teamtaylorministries.com. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and learn what we are doing to serve the community and the kingdom of God. We pray that you seek God in ways you can help by supporting us with your financial contributions. Please go to our website, teamtaylorministries.com, and choose any way you want to give, or you can mail in any gifts to the address below. God bless you all.